Okay, today we are going to talk about problem solving and how that might affect our kids at school and how to work on some goals um, to eliminate those problem solving difficulties that we have. So, as I said, I'm Abby Mars, an information specialist at Family Matters. Family Matters is one of the two parent training and information centers in Illinois, and we are funded by the U.S. Department of Education to help parents understand their rights and responsibilities related to the education of their children or young adults who have specialized instruction or accommodations. We are not a legal service and cannot provide legal advice or legal representation. So, why is problem solving so important? The ability to solve problems is a basic life skill and is essential to our day to day lives. At home, at school, at work, we solve problems every day without really thinking about it. For example, it's raining and you need to go to the store. What do? There are lots of possible solutions. Take your umbrella and walk. If you don't want to get wet, you can drive or take the bus. You might decide to call a friend for a ride, or you might decide to not go to the store at all. This is not right. There's no right or wrong way to solve this problem, and different people will solve it differently. But why is problem solving important? Good problem solving skills empower you not only to in your personal life, but but they're critical for your professional life too. In the current fast changing global economy, employers often identify everyday problem solving as crucial to develop success in their organizations. For employees, problem solving can be used to develop practical and creative solutions and to show independence and initiative to employers. And at this stage in our kids' life, we are thinking about things they're going to do after high school. And we're working on those transition plans, right? So, learning problem solving skills now is going to help them in their future if they choose post secondary education or a job right out of school. Learning those problem solving skills are crucial. The ability to solve problems is a skill, like we talked about. And just like any other skill, the more practice, the better you get. So, how exactly do you practice problem solving? You learn about different problem solving strategies and when to use them, and they will and to give you a good start. Problem solving is a process. Most strategies provide steps that help you identify the problem and choose the best solution. There are two basic types of strategies: algorithmic, and heuristic. So, algorithmic strategies are a traditional step by step guide to solving problems. They are great for solving math problems, like in algebra, you multiply and divide and then you subtract, or for helping us to remember things in order, like spring forward, fall backwards, or righty tighty, lefty loosey, or for your things from Bath and Body Works, it is the opposite, if you didn't know that. So that is considered like an algorithm. You use an algorithm to solve those problems. But what do you do when there's no single solution for your problem? This is where we're at the other method called the heuristic. And there are general guides used to identify possible solutions. A popular one is called ideal. We're going to identify the problem, define the context of the problem, explore possible strategies, act on the best solution, and look back and learn. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a later slide. But ideal is just one of the problem solving strategies. Building a toolbox of problem solving strategies will improve your problem solving skills. With practice, you'll be able to recognize and use multiple strategies to solve complex problems. Problem solving is inherently student centered. Student centered learning refers to methods of teaching that recognize and cater to the student's individual needs. Students learn at varying paces. They have their own unique learning styles and their strengths, and even further, have their own interests and motivations. And a student centered approach recognizes this diversity within the classroom by giving students some degree of control over what they're learning. Incorporating problem solving into the curriculum is a great way to make it more student centered, as it requires students to engage with topics by asking questions, thinking critically about explanations and solutions, rather than expecting them to absorb the information in the lecture format or through written memorization. From solving complex algebra problems to investigating scientific theories to making inferences about written text, problem solving is central to everyday subjects explored in school. Even beyond the classroom, problem solving is ranked among the most important skill for students to demonstrate on their resumes. And you can think about that in a job interview and then think back. Your boss is going to, your potential boss is going to ask you how you do in a high stress environment or how you do at problem solving. On an even broader scale, students who learn how to apply their problem solving skills to the issues they noticed in their communities or even globally have the tools they need to change the future and leave a lasting impact on the world around them. Problem solving can be taught in any context area and can even be combined in a cross circular concepts to connect learning from all subjects, on top of building transferable skills for higher education and beyond. So, for our kiddos that have IEPs, problem solving is a critical life skill. We know this already, and we can incorporate this into, believe it or not, our IEPs. Teaching problem solving skills to special education students is important and should be part of their overall curriculum way before we think about the transition plan, but definitely while it's in the transition plan as well. So, for many parents and teachers who work with children with executive functioning issues, or myself, it quickly becomes clear that problem solving is essential for succeeding in school or work. Problem solving not only requires being able to identify when a problem exists, but being able to come up with reasonable solutions to fix it. So here's some examples of different goals you can write to improve problem solving. So you can have an adapted goal. An example would be by the end of the school year, when given a written scenario in which a problem needs to be solved, the student will provide 2 appropriate solutions with an 80% accuracy in a 4 out of 5 opportunities according to observation. So that is a SMART goal, and that's an adaptive goal. But how about a social goal? Who has social goals written in their kids' IEPs, or whose IEP has a social goal? By the end of that IEP term, when given a pre-taught behavioral strategy to decrease or avoid escalating behaviors, the student will complete at least one activity to problem solve. So that's a good one there. How about a reading goal? By the end of the IEP term, when presented with text at his instructional level, the student will use context clues to determine the meaning of unknown words. So that's another problem-solving goal. I mean, just in this PowerPoint alone, I came across a word I couldn't remember how to pronunciate. And I thought instantly, how would I problem solve that? I would speak as slow as I possibly could. If I mess it up, I'm sure somebody will correct me later. We can also do this in math and writing goals. So like the writing goal example would be by the end of the school year, when given a writing assignment, the student will independently create a keyword outline that includes the main topic and 3 supporting points as a basis for their essay. So there's really a lot of ways to incorporate, and really, if you think about it, IEP goals in themselves, a lot of them are working on a problem. Your student has a delay in this area, and how are we going to improve that? But what about tips on setting goals for the problem solving? So how are we going to watch the progress here? We're going to do behavioral observation to see if there's a problem. Watch how the student interacts with a problem when they come to it. Are they able to process it and work through it? We need to look at what do they do when they encounter the problem? What are their strengths and weaknesses? What do they do when they're able to solve it independently? So an example of this would be you're sitting in your classroom and it's independent math time, and you are observing this student, and he comes across a problem that you believe he doesn't understand how to do. And the behavior he's been exhibiting is task avoidance. He will, get up and walk around, have to sharpen his pencil several times. Maybe he's shut down and doesn't do the homework at that point. So you're seeing the problem. How are we going to get through the problem? So then you watch the student. He's exhibiting these negative behaviors as a result of the problem. So how can we change that behavior? We can add more support. We can have him ask for help when he gets to these areas. A skills assessment can also be helpful. And then you want to get the whole team involved, mom and dad too, our guardian and the student, and talk about this problem that the student keeps happening, which is that not completing the work in the math class and why we're having the problem. Play to their interests and their motivations. Motivation plays a major role in teaching new executive functioning skills. Do your best to make sure your student stays motivated. Incorporate their favorite activities into the task as well. Okay. We can try role playing as well. The ideal method is one strategy you can use to help your child with their problem solvers. The method can be used while you're working towards any of the sample goals listed above. Okay. And know when to ask for help. So really know, as you as a professional or a parent, know when to ask other people for help when you can't solve the problem, and help your student identify that it's okay to ask for help and when it is appropriate to ask for help. If you find the process of writing IEP goals for problem solving to be, well, a major problem, well, then you need to consider these steps. If you aren't sure where to start, get organized. Start by giving your student an executive functioning assessment, or asking your school team to give your student an excessive functioning assessment, and use the real life executive functioning workbook as a guide to help you. I thought I had a link to this and I forgot to put it in there. Start by writing down what you want them to be able to do, be as specific as possible, and use terms that your student can understand. So, Kira, I really want you to make sure we're completing our math work every single day. It's a problem that you're not completing your math work. Once you have a good set of goals, so my goal is going to be, Kira, I want you to complete your math work every day. Work on breaking them down into smaller steps. So here's where I come in. This is your math work. This is what time of day you get it. This is what I want you to have done, and we're going to break it down into smaller steps. And remember to make sure the steps are achievable. I need to make sure that she is able to complete her math book, that she has all this math work that she needs. She has all the skills. She has all the preparation for it. She understands the material. That it's measurable. I want her to improve completing the math work by a certain date. I'm sorry, that's time oriented, but that we can measure it, that it's time based so you can track the student's progress and give them the support they need along the way. So we need to identify things for Kira where she can ask for support while she's doing her math. When working on problem solving skills, the most important thing to remember is that you need to be focused on their areas in which the child struggles. Problem solving is also viewed as a collection of executive functioning skills rather than an individual skill. To help your child become better at solving problems, he needs to develop other executive functioning skills as well. Problem solving requires the ability to evaluate the outline of different strategies and planning. They need to be able to take action and take initiative. They might also need to use an attentional control, organization, and time management skills. Our executive functioning assessment is a great place to start. So, in the conclusion, I wanted to talk just a little bit about this problem solving worksheet that I found. So it's a great way that when you identify a problem that you're working on with your student, that you identify, this helps spell it out for the student, helps them work on something. So this is a great resource. You can find it in the Google Drive associated with this training. The whole summer series training has a Google Drive that we can share the link with you for. So feel free to check that out. And at this time, we'll pause the training until the other group is ready, and then we'll come back together.